gentlemen, welcome back to the video rendition of the Festus Fantasy Football Forum. This is going to be week 4 of this season, and we got a lot of good things to talk about today. We're going to be going over the matchups from last week, some incredible games. We're going to be going over updated power rankings, and we're going to finish off with matchup previews and a unbelievable primetime matchup that I am super excited about. Got a brand new webcam, so I actually went out and bought a webcam. Hopefully it has better quality. I don't know if it will, but because it's a cheap webcam, but it has to be, the FaceTime MacBook webcam. But yeah, you guys seem to like it, and it just makes it look a little better for everybody, and that's kind of what I'm going for. So if everyone's taking this seriously, watching it and talking about it, then I'll take it seriously when it comes to the view and the presentation and the editing of it. So timestamps for the video, so if anyone is in a rush or if anyone just wants to skip through their favorite parts, it'll be right here all the times. Starting off here, I want to touch on some news and notes. We do have a new player added to the trade block by Tony. This is Breece Hall getting added to the trade block. Obviously, there's a lot of concern with this Jets offense right now. Tony is trying to capitalize on maybe what could be potential, I guess you could maybe bank on. But yeah, Breece Hall is not looking good right now. And if you have any inquiries about Breece Hall, be sure to contact Tony. Speaking of Tony, if you guys remember from last week, Dom Nofo set a bounty for the first person to beat him this year in fantasy. Got, and I'm quoting this, oral sex and a 6-pack of room temperature Bud Light. Tony, you're the lucky winner and receiver of those products and services. So yeah, reach out to Dom and get that all set up for you. So congratulations, buddy. Thank you for your service. Starting off strong here with the matchup recaps, we have Saquon D's nuts getting his ass kicked by Team DD, a score of 87 to 143 exactly. Yeah, Austin's team is clearly one of the powerhouses in this league, and he showed no mercy to poor Chris, who didn't have a single person besides Mike Williams score over 20 points. And on the other hand, Team DD had 3 players score over 20 points, an absolute beatdown by Austin this week. Moving on here, we have Lamar's backpack taking down the McAfrican Americans 151 to 103. The highest scoring team of the week this week, behind an impressive 45-point performance from Raheem Mostert. And he took down the McAfrican Americans, who had a terrible performance in the RB2 slot and the tight end spot. Both positions really need to be addressed. Obviously, he sat Kyle Pitts this week, and it did not matter because he got his ass kicked. Also, Rondale Moore was sat. We'll see if he is placed in the flex spots moving forward. But all in all, Jaden Gill, great game this week for you, moving to 2-1 and dropping AJ to 1-2. My favorite game of the week, and you guys know why, the Guardians taking down the GOAT squad 132 to 125. And listen, as you guys are going to see, I had no chance of winning this game until Davante Adams, Superman himself, saved me in this week. Falling to 0-3 would have put my playoff chances to probably around 0%. And what Davante Adams did on Sunday Night Football against Tyler's team, mind you, unbelievable. I'll never forget that, and I'm definitely going to boast about it for this one time only. He sat Joe Burrow and started Brock Purdy, which was a great move on his part. I did not expect that from him, and he definitely missed Jalen Waddle and Brandon Ayuk this week. Great performance from Courtland Sutton. Just, you can't really do much when a guy has 42 points on Sunday Night Football to win a game. There were so many narratives around this, and obviously if you see the bench, everyone went off too, so trust me, if I would have lost, I would have been mad. The Guardians finally get the first win of the season. This is looking great going into next week. And moving on to another team getting his first win, Team Doyle picking up a 15-point win over Chuck Checker, and it was an impressive high-scoring game all around. I did not expect it to be this high. Obviously, these were the 2 worst teams coming into the week. Unfortunately, Mez is still winless, but it was a valiant effort. Unfortunately for Mez, his running backs were nowhere to be found. He had a 45-point performance from Keenan Allen and a 25-point performance from Deebo Samuel, and it meant nothing. And look, Team Doyle capitalized. Everyone on the team scoring over 11 points, with a multitude of them scoring at 20 or just above. These type of performances is what carry you far into the season. So great win for Team Doyle. Unfortunate loss for Mez, falling to 0-3, still the only winless team in the league, and Colin Doyle picking up a nice, solid win this week. We have the last game before primetime, Team Armani, my upset pick of the week, coming in clutch and winning against running backs, 106-91, a 15-point win off the backs of Kirk Cousins, ETN, and Jamar Chase, who finally had a good game. But funny enough, he actually just traded him. Was not a pretty game from either team. Was definitely not a pretty game from either team. Came down to Monday night, and if it was not for Jamar Chase, Dom would still be undefeated. Team Armani moving to 2-1. Dom also going to 2-1. We'll see how these teams look moving forward, and especially in the power rankings portion of this episode, see where these guys rank. Finally, for the prime time matchup of the week, I knew this was going to be an absolute amazing matchup, and it was, coming all the way down to the very end. It felt like the Little Giants staying undefeated with a 104-98 point win over Bijan. Listen, looking at the comparison of these teams, it is clear that Justin Fields sucks ass. When you have Tyreek Hill, you can get away with a lot. Little Giants are taking advantage of that. They are riding that wave high right now, with no one else really putting up any good numbers, if we're being quite honest. Marquise Brown right there at 17 points was nice. Unfortunately, Judson's team just could not capitalize. They could not show up today. That is what ultimately cost them. I mean, look, Bijan at 10 points is a real herder. Garrett Wilson at 10 points. Mark Andrews at 7.5. The second best tight end in the league. 7.5 points is never going to win a game. It's an all-around dud performance. I will say, though, Tank Dell on the bench and sitting him in place of Jordan Addison and Jalen Warren costed Judson the win this week. Yeah, Judson wins this game if he just starts Tank Dell on the flex. To close off this matchup recaps portion of the video, I went 5-1 last week. As I said, my goal was to go at least 5-1, and what did I do? I come out and do that exact. I could have went 6-0, but I may or may not have played the fade game, the fade, whatever that is. Trust me when I say this, it will not be the case moving forward. Also, Devontae Adams is just really good. So, with that being said, let's move into the power rankings portion of the video, starting right now. As touched on last week, the power rankings are being based upon more and more on points for and points allowed. We're trying to see now if teams are for real or if they're pretenders. I think we're going to go through some of these people today. You know, how are these teams winning or losing? Are they losing because they suck, as in they're not scoring points? Or are they losing because their opponents are just going off? Are these teams winning because they're actually really good and scoring a lot? Or are they winning because their opponents just suck? These are the questions that are going to actually determine most of the power rankings here in this video, and you'll see what I mean by that as I get into it. So starting off here, number 12, obviously it's going to have to be Chubb Checker. 0-3, I can't really morally or ethically put him above anyone else when you literally haven't won a game. As I mentioned, the points allowed metric, it's the second most points given up by any team in the league, and so obviously teams are playing him and they're going off, so it's making it a lot harder for him to win, because points for is actually more middle of the pack, above a lot of winning teams and right around winning teams. So obviously he has Nick Chubb go down with injury. I will say, in terms of an 0-3 team, I think wins are around the corner. It's just a matter of can he get the right matchup. I have Mez coming in at number 12. Coming in at number 11, we have Saquon D's nuts, and this is no surprise, okay? Obviously, he just made the Jamar Chase trade, which I will cover in the next video. It's just so many injuries on this team, and I cannot confidently put him any higher in terms of the outlook metric that I'm basing off of. Points allowed, he's towards the top per, expected, but points for, he's actually second to last. The bottom three teams are pretty close together, so he's at the bottom portion of the points for, and that is because this team is just not going off. Obviously, he does not have Cooper Kupp yet, and he did just get Jamar Chase. So obviously there's a decent, room for optimism there, but he has just had so many injuries and so many players traded away. His RB room is terrible. It's arguably the worst in the league. Cooper Kupp and Jamar is going to be an elite duo, But other than that, I don't really see the appeal to this team. That's why I have to put him here based on all of the other metrics. Look, he has a 2% lower chance to make the playoffs than Mez. And they're in the same division. If that goes to show just how bad this team is right now. I don't want to dog on anybody, but a lot of things just need to happen for this team to stay in playoff contention. That's really out of his control. Saquon D's nuts at 11. Coming in at number 10, we have the McAfrican Americans, AJ Forrester's team. Another deal where, like Chris, not scoring a lot of points. Actually scoring just a couple spots above Chris. The points allowed is just killing him. He has the most points allowed in the league at 392, almost 400 points. Clearly, teams are just going off against him, and he's not really, able to combat that as much. A big reason why their points is down is because there is a terrible problem at the running back position and flexes. That outlook is not in his favor. Having A.J. Dillon or Antonio Gibson as your RB2 is just not going to cut it in this league. Moving forward, I think A.J. can definitely get it done. We will need to see significant improvement. Coming in at number 9, we have Bijan Mustardson. Look, one of the powerhouse teams that I thought would be coming into the season has actually fizzled out. He has a 1-point differential, 307 points for, which is the lowest in the entire league, but a 308 points allowed differential, which is about middle of the pack to upper tier. So that's good to know. Truthfully, I don't really see the problem in terms of roster. Obviously, the flex position can be volatile. Top tier tight end, top tier running backs, top tier receivers, top tier quarterback yet. It's just not really clicking yet. And that's why I'm putting you right here. I don't think this is a bad team at all. I think of all the teams that are in this bottom tier of the power rankings, this is the best one. And I think we're going to see that moving forward. Obviously, ESPN agrees with me. 41% chance to still make the playoffs. That is very good considering this is a 1-2 team. Bijan Mustardson I have at number 9. And at number 8 we have Team Doyle, and the reason for a big jump, as you may recall, he was very low last week and he made a big jump this week. He had a strong performance. Diving into the stats of this team, he's actually had a pretty high points scored margin here at 339, which is very good. It's just the points allowed. He's been getting into these shootouts constantly, 3rd worst in terms of points allowed. Obviously, the trade, I think, is definitely going to benefit this team. We just saw A.J. Brown go off for him. And moving forward, this team is definitely one of the best all-around, I would say. I would say this team is right up there in terms of all-around, just solid players at each position, and that's going to be really good moving forward, especially because he's going to have a lot of trade pieces, I think. I'm putting him in 8 here. I think this is a really good spot. Obviously 1-2, but moving forward, this team is definitely going to be picking up some wins, maybe this week against the Little Giants. We don't know yet. Number 8 for Team Doyle. Coming in at number 7, back to the middle, staying pretty strong here after a big win over the number 1 team in the league last week. I have the Guardians of Your Mom's House coming in at number 7. And look, I know people are thinking that I'm just, boasting my own team, but here are the stats, okay? This team is the 4th highest team in the league. Now, obviously, Team Doyle is right under that, so that's the only reason I put this team above him. I think that's fair. At 349 points for, this is one of the best scoring teams in the league, but it's the points allowed at 367 that is definitely causing problems with this team. We just saw it, twice in a row, 2 weeks in a row against Austin and then Tyler, having to get into a high-scoring affair, coming out 1-1 in those 2 weeks. With the outlook of this team now really starting to come together, Evan Ingram coming into his own, overall just a healthy team as of now, and that has to be good moving forward. A 46% chance to make the playoffs, that is the highest percent for anyone that's 1-2. That has to go in part of the high points for. This team can put up points, and it has done that consistently now. So I think this is a fair spot for the Guardians going into week 4. Yeah, you guys can hate me all you want, but it's fair. Stats support it. Moving up now to the top 6. Obviously, this is going to be everybody with a winning record. Moving on to number 6, we have Team Marmani, one of the first teams in the league, I should say, with a positive point differential, which is a good sign. but a very, very low points for. The only team with a winning record in the bottom echelon of teams in the points for category, which is a concern, but he just made some moves, and we'll see how those work out for him in terms of trading for Saquon, Puka, and Rachaad White. I still think that even though he has had some question marks in terms of scoring, he has positioned himself in a good way to move forward with a solid roster. DeAndre Swift, I was completely wrong about, and I will 100% admit it. Thank goodness for him, for getting him on the team. The flex is now looking really good, especially when Saquon comes back. This team is going to be very good, and we'll have to see how they all play together in the season. So, number 6, I have Team Morimani. Coming in at number 5, a slight fall from grace. I have the GOAT squad, Tyler Wright's team, coming down to number 5. Obviously, last week is a very tough loss. Having someone score 42 points on you to cost you the game against your own team in Sunday Night Football, yeah, that's a tough way to lose. Especially to a team that had previously been winless. It's going to knock you down a couple spots. My main concern with this team right now is last week showed that if you put a little bit of pressure on this team, it might crumble. Its highest scoring week. The GOAT Squad had their highest scoring week of the season and still lost. That begs the question, is this team a contender or a pretender? Now, the running back room will say pretender, but the wide receiving room will say contender. Not going to shy away from that. Obviously, this is the best wide receiving group in the league, but now with the arrival of Cam Akers threatening Alexander Mattison, I don't know if he's going to be a viable option at the RB1 moving forward. In terms of depth as well, very good depth. Like I said, the problem with this team is that they seemed to be getting wins off of other opponents dudding. You have your highest scoring week and you lose, that's not really a good sign. We will have to monitor that. I think 5 is still a good spot for this team. Obviously taking a couple steps down, but I can't put you any higher just for the points for and the points allowed columns. I mean, you are in the bottom tier of points for, and you're not in that elite level of teams scoring a bunch of points. But middle of the pack, Tyler Wright's GOAT squad coming in at number 5. Moving on to number 4, I have Team DD. Now we are getting into the elite level point scorers. Okay, these next 3 are the point scorers of the league, and that's what we love. These guys are winning because they are scoring. They're not winning because the other team sucks. They're winning because they're just flat out scoring more points. Obviously, he's third in the league in points scored, which is a great sign, and he's towards the bottom for points allowed. You know, kind of middle of the pack in terms of teams playing against him. So very good to see there. That means he's not really a fraud. That means that his team is showing up to play. And I can see why. All around, this is a very well-built team. The running back room, the wide receivers, and the quarterback especially. Love the quarterback. The thing I will say, though, is the flex spots are holding this team back. Whether it be volatility with the players in those positions or just flat-out mismanagement, it's definitely holding Austin back. Moving forward, he's not going to be able to do that, especially if he wants to be in a true contender spot. That's the only concern I do have. Moving forward, this is a great team, a great outlook. Team DD coming in at number 4. That means coming in at number 3, another, as said, dominant offense and running backs, Dom Lofo's team. 74% chance to make the playoffs, and it's week 3. Very good sign to see. Technically the second most in the entire league. He is the 3rd highest scoring team in the league. In the same boat as Austin, teams are scoring pretty average against him, and he's just blowing them out of the water. And that's what's setting him apart and giving him so many blowout victories. He did take his first L last week, and that was cool, but this team is well built for the running backs. And talking to Dom, that's what his strategy was going into the draft, was build a lot of running backs and then get correct wide receivers, hit those projections, and he will be just fine. That strategy is paying off here with Christian Kirk and Zay Flowers. Austin Eckler and Aaron Jones about to be coming back with Alvin Kamara as well. So now you kind of see a controversy of who do you start in the running back spots, especially with the flex. I would assume a big trade could be on the move here with maybe bringing in a big wide receiver. That's what I would do if I'm him, but if it's working for him, I think he should keep going with, obviously, the team he's built. Also, gotta shout out Kyron Williams. What a pickup there in the draft. Listen, the thing with this team is, if the running backs just have a decent week even, this team is going to win a lot of games, okay? Because he has workhorse running backs in good situations, and then he has complementary wide receivers to get the job done, along with an elite tight end. As we've seen in these games that he's played, he's doing good. He's scoring a lot, and that's the best thing to see. Being 2-1, I'm going to put you here at 2. I think this is, or 3, I apologize. Putting you at 3, I think this is a great spot for you. ESPN has you ranked 4th. I'm going to put you at 3rd. That means in the 2nd place spot, no denying this one, it has to be Lamar's backpack. The new highest scoring team in the league after a monstrous week 3 performance. Under 300 points allowed. So not only are you scoring the most, you're giving up the 3rd least. This is a great all-around roster. One thing that I dogged on this team for in the preseason was the running back room, and it clearly is showing up. Raheem Mostert, what an acquisition there. The only real weakness of this team is the tight end spot in David Njoku. He's not going to be the guy to get you that many points every week, maybe 10 if you're lucky. I think that's a clear weakness, maybe Pacheco as well. It is an all-around great built team. Lamar Jackson leading the way, carrying this team to many victories. We all know that. But what is separating this team now is the boom players that you get what appears to be week in and week out. Calvin Ridley week 1, Raheem Mostert last week. This is basically the Miami Dolphins right now. So you guys all know what that means. Number 1 is the Little Giants, the last remaining undefeated team in the league. I mean, you know, he loves to hear about it, right? He loves to hear that he has a great team, and I gotta give him his flowers. Again, I feel like I did this last week, and it sucks I'm doing it again. All around solid. Besides Justin Fields, he still sucks. Jahmyr Gibson and James Cook, very decent running backs there. I would say both RB2s, high flex position players, but they're filling in nicely for him because when you have Tyreek Hill on your team, you don't really need much out of other positions, that being the running back. Tyreek Hill is carrying this team. Nico Collins is a pleasant surprise, but no, this is definitely Tyreek Hill's team. On multiple occasions, Tyreek Hill has won Brock the week. Unfortunately, he is actually right in the middle there with points 4. So very low scoring of a team, and this could be another Tyler situation to where, is this team contenders or is this team pretenders? Okay, the lowest points allowed in the league. I gotta ask, if Tyreek Hill has a bye week or if Tyreek Hill just, God forbid, gets injured, where does the team go from there? Besides Nico Collins that 1 week, no one's really going off. I will like to see how that goes. You are leading in a tough division. Looking for Jonathan Taylor to come back is important. That is going to make this team very, very good, giving him a solidified RB1 for sure. I will say that the bench maybe is pretty weak. He doesn't really have any depth, so as said with Tyreek Hill, God forbid an injury happens, we'll have to see how he handles that situation. Little Giants, number 1 team in the league, cannot defeat that. Moving on to the final section here for Week 4's forum, we're going to be going into the matchup previews. Obviously, I think a lot of people liked it last week when I went over the injuries. Obviously, I'm going to make my picks. So starting off here, we're going to be keeping that same format. Bijan Mustardson taking on running backs. Going into this game, obviously the big question is Austin Eckler and Aaron Jones. Are they going to play? And I think, truthfully, one of them will. I don't know if both will because Austin Eckler is still dealing with that ankle injury, but Aaron Jones looks to be in line to play on Thursday. How much will he play? I don't know. Even if one of them doesn't play, no big deal, because Alvin Kamara is making his return to the field this week. And that begs the question, will he play him? You're confident. You are confident that you can start any 3 of those guys in any 3 combinations, and it's going to work out for you. As for Judson, Miles Sanders is carrying in a questionable tag as of today. It's just a groin issue, limited to practice, no big deal. But I will have to give my win this week to Dom's running backs. I think the running backs are going to be too dominant this week to handle. And Judson has just been having trouble going up against high-scoring teams, and he does not have favorable matchups for his players. I'm going to give the nod to Dom this week and we'll see if he can move to 3-1. The next game we will have to look at here is the Chubb Checker and Team Armani matchup. Okay, both of these teams coming in pretty even on the projections. Tony obviously just made that trade. Obviously, Saquon Barkley is not playing this week, but as terms of starters, he is looking pretty healthy. I do see that he's going to be sitting Breece Hall this week. I don't blame him. He has not been good. On the other side, though, Mez looking for his first win still, and he has Deebo Samuel and Gus Edwards both coming in with questionable tags. Deebo Samuel, I think, will be fine for sure, but Gus Edwards, we will have to monitor. Even if he doesn't play, there's really no big deal. He can slide in Devon Achane, I think it's Achane now, and then just move up Tyler Boyd, no big deal. In terms of this game, I think I'm going to have to give the win to Team Armani. I think Puka and Rachaad White are going to do really good for them this week, especially Travis Etienne and DeAndre Swift as well. He's been on a tear. I think it's going to continue this week. So that's going to move Tony to 3-1, and Mez, I think, will fall to 0-4. Next, let's go to the Saquon D's Nuts, which I'm sure he'll change his name, and the Guardians of Your Mom's House matchup. This is, I think, the biggest difference in projections as of today. One concern I do have is Darren Waller on the bench for Pat Freiermuth right now. That is an interesting play. In terms of the Guardians, Deshaun Watson will be taking his seat this week, it looks like, for Jordan Love on Thursday. So this would be cool because both quarterbacks going on Thursday night. So that'll give both managers something to watch. Yes, Deshaun Watson will be taking a seat this week, and it looks like so will Darren Waller. So obviously, bold strategies from both of these managers. I'm going to have to give the nod to the Guardians. The Guardians going to win this matchup. Next, I want to go to the GOAT Squad versus the McAfrican Americans, an interdivision matchup here. Tyler Wright has a huge projection advantage over the McAfrican Americans, and I can see why. Obviously, Brandon Ayuk and Jalen Waddle still carrying in questionable tags. I do think Jalen Waddle will play this week after taking last week off. Brandon Ayuk, though, we'll have to wait and see. I think he will play as well. AJ's team is still question marks at the RB2 and flex position. And I also see that he's sitting Kyle Pitts in favor of Hunter Henry. It's a bold strategy. I know Kyle Pitts has let down a lot of people, but for Hunter Henry, I don't know. I'm going to have to pick Tyler to win this week. I just don't think the McAfrican Americans have much firepower outside of McCaffrey. In the last matchup before the primetime matchup of the week, we have the 3-0 number 1 team in the league, Little Giants, going up against Team Doyle. Team Doyle actually the favorite to win this. 4-point projection advantage. Both teams coming in healthy besides Christian Watson. It does look like he might play this week, finally, which is a good sign for Brock. And it looks like Jerry Jeudy is also carrying in a questionable tag, but I think he should play as well. So in terms of injuries, these guys are basically similar, both healthy teams moving into this week. I think this is going to be my upset of the week. I think Tyreek Hill will not have his marquee 30-point plus game this week, and Team Doyle is going to take advantage. Team Doyle is going to take this matchup and give Brock his first loss of the season. We will have to see who he starts in those flex positions. He has a lot of depth, and I can definitely see Dameon Pierce or Jerome Ford go into one of those positions. Team Doyle is in prime position to upset here. Is it the same spot that Tony was in last week against Dom? Definitely seems like a trap game, as you might say, for regular NFL teams, and Team Doyle's going to take advantage. So that's my official upset of the week. And finally, moving into the primetime matchup of the week, I am super pumped for this one. It is going to be, if you didn't already guess, Team Didi versus Lamar's Backpack. Lamar's Backpack making an appearance again, 2 weeks already into the season, 2 appearances. It's just one of those things where you have to put your primetime teams in the primetime slots. Jay Gill has that team. Let's be honest, Team Didi, the surprise of the season, I think. So the first video I'm going to show you is Jay Gill's video. He sent one in talking about this primetime matchup and what his team is feeling like. So I'm going to roll that clip right now.
2023-24 champ. Tuning back in for the second primetime game, but then can't even count how many weeks, not enough. Coming off a historic performance, nobody else even touching my team right now. All I can say is, Austin, I hope we can stay friends after this ass whooping that I'm going to put on you this weekend. And that's really it. good luck to everybody else except Austin Dudger, pretty much.
Yeah, as mentioned, I mean, obviously some people aren't going to go off this week, as in Raheem Mostert. He's not going to score 45. The roster that Jaden Gill has, it is set up in a way that anyone can go off for, I think, 40 points. It's really just depending on whose week is it. I haven't really seen Stephon Diggs have his week yet, so maybe he's due, but we'll have to keep an eye on that. Austin, though, I mean, just an all-around great team. He's going to look to continue that trend of just constant scoring. The number 1 versus the number 3 scoring teams in the league. Hopefully, Austin can master his flexes, okay? He has not been able to do that, and obviously Drake London and Tutu Atwell in there right now. So it will be interesting to see. Now, this is Austin's first primetime matchup this year. He sent in a video talking about all the hate that he's been getting and what he is feeling moving into this part of the season, into this primetime matchup against Jay Gill. Roll the clip.
So I'm sitting here having a brew, as one does. And I hear this talking in the background, oh, Jaden's team scored 150 last week. Austin doesn't know that much about football. His knowledge isn't there when it comes to managing his team. Okay. The thing is, Team DD is here to fucking play. Okay? Jaden's a bum. He's mediocre. He doesn't know right from wrong. What's his last name? Anybody know his last name? I don't even know his fucking last name. Where did he go to school? I don't know. Shit ain't sweet over here on the east side. East side? Shit ain't sweet. We're coming for you. We are coming for you.
Amazing video there from Austin. First one we've gotten from him all year. Looking to maybe get some more in the later weeks. I will have to pick Austin to win this primetime matchup. Kenneth Walker is in a favorable matchup. Justin Jefferson, Devonta Smith. So many good matchups for this team. Even though I do think Lamar's backpack has players to go off, as I just said, I have to think that overall, Team DD is just going to show up in a better fashion this week. Wrapping up this video, I will be reviewing my picks again. I have Tony. I have Dom. I have Jackson. I have Tyler. I have Colin. And I have Austin winning in primetime. So that is it for the video this week. Thank you guys so much for watching. And good luck to everyone this week in their matchups.